Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Arpit Shah and today I'm going to talk about abstract classes. The concept of abstract classes are actually mixture of interfaces and inheritance in Java. So if you have looked at my videos about inheritance and interfaces, then this tutorial will be much more easier for you to understand. If you haven't watched those videos, then it's fine. I will still give you a quick overview so you can catch up on that knowledge. Let's understand inheritance first. Let's say customer has given us a task to write a program which can mimic few animals. In my case, I have chosen lion and a dog. And we have to write a program which allows them to mimic each of those animals' action. To achieve that, I have to go to each of those classes and implement their respective methods. Now, if I think carefully, I would realize that lion and dog, even though they are separate animals, there are many activities that they do which can be commonly implemented. For example, sleeping. They both sleep. And then walking. They both can walk. Now, if they both do similar action, that means the method can be identical. Then why we should implement those methods separately into each classes? So this is where inheritance can come very handy. So to get around that problem, instead of implementing common methods separately into each classes, we would create a third class, in my case it's called animal, and implement all those common methods in that class. Now, this class is called superclass or a parent class. So the way inheritance work is if the child classes or subclasses can somehow prove the relation with the parent classes, then they get all the parent methods in inheritance. So it's like in a real life. If your parents have $1,000,000 and if you can prove relationship with them, then you can also use that $1,000,000. Maybe not really, but that's the way to think about it. So what this dog class can do, they can say extends animal class. So this is the way to declare that animal class is our parent class. So now dog class also have these two methods available in inheritance. Same way lion class can also extend animal class, and that way lion class also would have those two methods available in inheritance. So just to confirm that they are available, we can create the object of lion. And as you can see that sleep, walk and speak, all three methods are available to lion. And if we execute that code, you will see that sleeping, walking and lion also runs the specific method that we implemented in lion class, which prints roar. So the code is working as expected. So this is how inheritance works. Let's talk about interfaces. I have deleted all the code from lion and dog classes so I can explain to you how interfaces work in Java. So let's take the same example that customer wants us to write a program which can mimic different animal. And to do that, we have to write classes for each animal, and I have chosen lion and dog. And this time scenario is little different because each developer who are developing dog and lion classes, they are sitting in a different part of the world. So let's say one is in the United States and the other one is in India. Now, the problem that could cause is even though they have been communicated that what are the actions those class would perform, they can still choose to name the methods differently. So the customer who is implementing the main class, they might run into trouble because they might be implementing with the expectation that all the animals would have similar methods available. So as you can see in the example here, I have created lion and dog objects, and they both exercise sleep, walk and speak methods. Now if any of the developer choose to rename these method to something else, then customers code will be broken and they have to now then realign everything according to the implementation. So how do we get around these problems? So this is where the interfaces comes very handy. Let me create interface and then I'll show you how that works. So I'm going to create a new interface and call it animal interface. So the way interface works is you just have to provide the method signature that you would like to keep consistent across all the classes that implements that interface. So we know as a customer that we want these three methods called sleep, walk, and speak. Then let's just provide the signature of how those methods must look like. So sleep should look like that, and walk should look like this, and speak must be like that. So what we can do now, that as a customer we can write this interface and provide these developer writing line and doc classes. So what they would do, they would put this interface into their own code and use keyword implements and implement these in animal interface. As soon as they both do that, the compiler would check that if they have implemented the methods that interface enforces. And obviously lion and dog class have no methods right now. Compiler is complaining that you don't have any methods that interface wants, so you must implement them. So I can just click add unimplemented method and it will provide me the empty skeleton for all these methods. So if we use interfaces, user don't have to think of the method names or the way method signature would look like. They would be enforced to use the method that was defined by the interface in the first place. So this is how we can avoid user doing either typo mistake or they are misaligned and they come up with their own naming convention. So interface is like a police who enforces these method signature implementation. Now the actual code implementation can be unique. So for example, lion can still speak differently. So when lion speaks, we can still say lion would roar and dog would say woof. So there you go. You can implement the code differently, but you cannot change the method signatures as per the law. So this is how interfaces work. And if you apply these interfaces, you can see the customer can also write code in parallel without a worry that different developer would try and do different things. And if we execute this code, it executes happily. It only prints roar and woof because we haven't implemented the walk and sleep code just yet, but the methods are provided. So there you go guys. Now you also know how interfaces work in Java. So let's talk about abstract classes. Okay, so to understand abstract classes, let's understand what makes them abstract. So let me create a simple class, call it animal abstract. What makes them abstract classes is this keyword called abstract. So if you don't apply this keyword abstract, the class would not behave like abstract classes. So that's very simple. Now, as I originally suggested, abstract classes are the mixture of implementation of inheritance and interfaces. So what do I mean by that? So if I quickly show you what is the difference between inheritance and interfaces. So inheritance where you apply the method signature and the implementation and the subclass can inherit those methods, where interfaces where you only apply the method signature and then the subclasses have to implement those methods themselves. Now let's consider the scenario where as a customer you know how to implement some methods, but some other methods you have to leave that implementation to that particular classes. Because for example, lion would speak differently than dog, then you don't want to implement a common code that would do the different things. So what we can do, we can take the common methods that we know would work similarly, and implement them, but we don't know how speak should be exercised. So what we would do, we would create a method called speak, but not implement them. Now, any method that in abstract class that we don't want to implement, we have to make the method abstract as well. So what would happen that whoever extends this class as a parent class, they would get these two methods in inheritance, so they can use them, but they would be enforced to implement the code for the speak method. So as you remember, this is like a mixture of inheritance and the implementation of interfaces. So let's try it out on lion and dog classes. So if lion extends these abstract class, straight away lion has a compiler error and it's saying you haven't implemented some method. And if I click please implement those method, it will force you to implement speak method. Now again, implementation could be unique per classes, so you can say lion would always roar. And if I do the same thing with dog class, and then it will enforce the same method again, and I can implement it differently, and I can say dog will say oof. So there you go. It's going to achieve the same end result, but this gives control to let's say customer, which then can either provide you implementation if they already know how to, and they can also enforce you to implement some method in a unique specific way. And if you go back to our main classes, you will see that all errors are gone and we can execute the code and they will work as expected. So the lion would say sleeping, walking and roaring, where dog would say sleeping, walking and saying woof. So there you go guys. Now you know how to use abstract classes, how to use abstract methods. Another thing you have to remember is once you make class abstract, you cannot create object of that class. So if I show you the original animal class, which was an abstract, I can use that class separately as well. If I don't want to use lion or dog class, I can instantiate that class and create object out of that, and then compiler is not complaining. But if I try and do the same thing with animal abstract class, you would see that compiler would not let me instantiate that as an object. Sorry, add some random code. So you see compiler is complaining that you cannot instantiate these class because it's declared as abstract. So you can only extend it, but you can't create object out of it. So now you know how abstract class can be used and how abstract methods can be used, and how to enforce some consistency in the code. Thank you guys for watching. If you would like to watch more videos, please do not forget to subscribe, and I will see you next time.